Okay, going to call the meeting to order. Any disclosure of pecuniary interest and general nature thereof? Seeing none. All right, adoption of the previous minutes. Any someone want to adopt them? At least Tatiana, good. Do we have a motion to adopt the minutes? Any changes or discussions or anything that needed requiring changes? Seconder, by the way. Seconder of the motion, Lori. All in favor? As is. All right, good. Okay, we're getting people coming in now, so I should have waited. I was distracting. That's why I was kind of confused there for a minute. All right. So we'll just get rolling with Dan.
Hello, all. So what I'll do is I'll go through the minutes from the last meeting and address them point by point. The first one is the accessible parking space on Lakeside Drive. This work hasn't been completed to date, but it is still planned for completion before the end of the year. If it doesn't get done, then depending on weather, we will put it on the list for April to be done right away. The second point is Redford Crescent. Final paving has occurred. There's still some restorations that need to be done there, but it is starting to look like it's closing out. Third point, Queen Street project. As you all know or may know, there are certain road closures in and around that site. But it is all well signed and detoured around. Next one is the TJ Dolan project is now underway and proceeding as planned. Next point, I just wanted to clarify actually. I informed the members that the repairs to railway crossings were responsibility of the city. Actually, clarification is within the railway property, it is still CNR that has to do that, but they work in conjunction with the city. So we can work right up to the crossing, but CNR and Godrich Exeter still have to manufacture the fix for the railway. And they have noted that St. Vincent Street crossing is going to be fixed this year. Next year, they have the Downey Street on their list of repairs. So that will happen next year. The next point about Wellington Street, again, we will mark areas and have them put on the list for next year. And the last point is about the curb cut on Tom Patterson Theatre or near the theater. And again, that has not been completed to date, but is still on our list of things to do. So hopefully we get that done this year. So that is all I have right now. We are sort of winding down, so we are just trying to finish up, the season. So, are there any questions?
Bonnie?
I was out last night and I was inspecting the 13 new bus shelters, and I noticed they had the wrong seat. And I noticed the one at there is much better, but there's no curb cut going across to it, right? So I got a hold of Michael. He let me know that the installer put the wrong benches in, but they're fixing it. They're bringing the proper benches in. And he was talking to theirs and trying to see if he's got any money left in his budget. And I was just wondering, would we have enough left that we could do it this year? It's just when you're coming out.
I don't know. I don't know how we would proceed on private property. That's the only thing.
I know. That's what I was wondering about too, but I just thought if we had the money in the budget and he could get it done. because when you
Yeah,
come on
I
the
would have
sidewalk,
to.
you can't get across to the bus shelter.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that had been noted once before. But again, that is because it's on private property. It would probably be, it would fall on theirs to be responsible for that. I don't know that we would do that. I'd have to ask that question.
Well, it would be a good question to ask because we did put a bus
Mhm.
shelter there. They worked with theirs, and that's on private property. But I'm just,
Unless Michael can find a way to make that as part of the whole bus shelter scenario, and
Yeah.
so he may be able to do that. I don't know. I will ask the question though.
he just said the cutout is theirs. I'm still speaking to the property owners, and hopefully I will have a resolution shortly. Either they will
Okay.
perform the work or I will get a little extra in the budget. Either way, one of us will perform the work. So I told him I would ask at this meeting if it was possible.
Yeah.
So if you can find maybe you could reach out to Mike and just.
Yep. I'll touch base with Mike and management here. So. Okay.
That'd be great because that would just, then people could use it. I don't know how they eat right now. I guess they have to come off at the doors of theirs and drive along the parking lot, I guess.
Well, that's what I've seen. People go along the lane there in their scooters and then find their way to the shelter. Yes.
Yeah, because it'd be nice if we could get it done this year. Yeah, the weather's holding out, touch wood so far, but.
Okay.
And I think we have some money left in our budget. Anyway, if you could look into that, I'd really appreciate it. Thanks.
Yeah, I will.
Okay, anybody else have anything for Dan?
No.
All right, you got off good, Dan.
No. Okay. All right. As always, I'm at extension 227 if anyone thinks of something afterwards.
Great. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Okay. Next is transit. I don't know if there's anything in transit. We haven't been discussing transit much. And we still won't. So on to the next item, parking. Roger.
Peter, I just have a question.
Sorry.
Oh. Okay.
Sorry, Laurie.
Sorry, go ahead.
Okay.
Transit? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, we discussed with Michael about they put up all these new bus shelters, but as is the problem with the Zayres bus shelter, but so they're accessible to and from the bus, but the shelter themselves, some of them are not accessible to get to. Like you would have to wheel on grass to get to the bus shelter. It seems like a missed, an oversight for how. So has there been a follow-up with Michael about that?
Which ones? Because I just drove around and looked at the 13 new ones last night and they were all good.
So maybe I'm not speaking specifically about the 13 new ones, but
okay.
Say the one across from Walmart, and the one on CH Meyer, and the one across from the McCarthy retirement residence. That one is still a point that we've brought up for years.
Yeah.
I think they're working their way back because what they were doing is they got these 13 in and then they were ordering some for next year. And I think the plan next year is to add some new ones in the city, but look at some of the older sections and fix them up. And I know one of them was the one across from the McCarthy place that they were talking about making it more accessible because somebody wanted them to have a curb cut from McCarthy place across, and that's a really busy road.
Yeah.
And so the ones that were done this year and last year, so that would be what, 13 and 12, 26 of them should be good. But the other ones, they're working their way back at them and getting them all done, is my understanding.
For McCarthy, I think we were looking at possibly putting a crosswalk or something in there because it is an important spot for both the community on the other side of the road as well as for the building, which is apparently for seniors and people who need care. So it's one of those pushing button crosswalks would be really helpful and useful, because that road is impossible to cross. And I've seen seniors trying to get across, then trying to get over the curb cut, then get over the grass, get into the shelter. And it's one I've been advocating for a couple of years now, and I haven't seen results. So, Bonnie, you are in constant contact with Mike, right?
Yeah, like the transit committee is disbanded now.
Yeah, I saw that, and I don't know.
Yeah, they ran for 2 years, and we talked at our last meeting, and it was decided that we felt we've pretty well done everything. And Michael is bringing up everything at the community services level, like, you know, the bus shelters and all the stuff. So if there's any issues, we're just to directly contact him and let him know.
So if someone has transit issues, I mean, you can phone Mike directly, but then he gets busy. And so what do we do?
We've got that new button on the city website. It's called Report an Issue. And we want everybody using that. You just click on it. You just fill in what your issue is. Goes right to the department. I had to use it the other day. They were out the next day. So, and it keeps, instead of staff getting thousands of emails and trying to keep track of everything, this puts everything into one location. And then there's a way to go back. I don't know, maybe it works like an Excel spreadsheet. I'm not sure how it exactly works, but they can go back and check to make sure what the follow-up's been, is it done and everything. So it's, you know, it's so much easier to report an issue now.
Right. So is it updated when it's done or what needs to be done? Because as Roger mentioned,
we don't see it. It goes to staff.
But we don't see anything on that website as far as knowing the progress.
You will for community services. Under community services, there'll be a report from transit every month.
So I hate to go to Facebook to find information.
No, it's on the city website.
I know, but that's the way I think most information gets out, is Facebook. And of course, then you get the haters on there, and it just doesn't give a good impression of what's being done. With the transit committee disbanded, it'd be nice to have some sort of report.
Well, I can bring you a report. I'm on community services.
Okay, would you mind doing that on a regular?
No, because actually what I can do is when we do our minutes, I can just copy that section and email to everybody.
That'd be great.
If that's what you want, I can.
Yes, I think that should be done. Thanks, Bonnie. Lori.
I just wanted to mention that there's actually a transit public meeting on November 17th. I saw that on the city website today. And it's in regards to accessibility as well. So that might be something people want to.
Yeah, you know, that's been very poorly attended. I don't know. See, it's first I've heard about it too. Some of us don't go to the website as much as others, right? Because we have lives that are different from this. I don't mean that.
I do too, Peter.
I know. Well, no, you share it, and that's great. That's helpful. And I do occasionally check out these things, but you know, it can get busy. So it was really, really poorly attended. Now I know the pandemic, but even before the pandemic, there was like 10 people there. There was like 1 or 2 people from the committee itself. I know I was there and I was looking around, but we need that. Yeah, Roger?
Even if it is poorly attended, it's still a platform to voice your accessibility concerns.
It is. It is. But it'd be nice to have parts disability, not just, you know, a guy in a wheelchair. No offense, because I'm in a wheelchair. Just go in and complain, but it'd be nice if those who are blind get that information. Jeff, did you have your hand up before Bonnie, or? Okay, you're just waving, right? It's okay, Bonnie.
Well, I was just gonna say, like, this is our annual accessibility AODA mandate that you have to do every year, and at least by having it on Zoom, it's recorded, so anybody can go in and watch it afterwards. And I'm expecting, and maybe Casey, you could check that. I would think if Michael just released it today, the accessibility committee will probably get an email about it today.
Okay. Did you just find it today, Laurie, or did you know about it before?
Oh, it is said today.
It just was under events, and there's a whole calendar now. Like, I was looking at the new website, and there's a whole calendar now with different events listed on it, so it's on there as well. Okay. I'm just wondering, maybe Tatiana, do you know how they'll publicize it?
So through the chair, yes, I am involved with this event. So all of the notifications are going out this week. It was just added to the event calendar yesterday. And I know they're working on just finalizing the emails and the additional information we're going to put in Town Crier on the website and whatnot. So you will be getting something today.
Great.
And the session will be recorded and uploaded to the accessibility webpage on the city's website following.
Okay. Good. Anything else on transit? Okay, moving on. Parking. Any parking issues? We're all good with that? Okay. Site plan review subcommittee, feedback reports. Thanks. Dan was doing the recording on that and he's gone. So yeah, we got to figure out a way how we can do this like we used to do it. We had one person in charge of reporting to the committee, and that was either a staff, that was always a staff person in the past. So Tatiana, can you help us figure out what we're going to do in the process forward? So we do a site plan review. Dan has been recording and we get it back to him, but it's a lot of work for a volunteer to be able to have to do that all the time. I know because I've had to do it a couple of times. So how do we go through the process of going from getting the site plan review done in the subcommittee and then have it reported back to the main committee? Because I don't know if Dan's going to be the continual secretary and then he sends it back to us and then it kind of, we don't know what's happening with it then.
So through the chair, I'm not necessarily involved with site plans, but I'm wondering if we can schedule a meeting with Dan and the director just to discuss some of the issues and concerns and then see what kind of information they can provide us or what additional direction they can give. Just because, again, I'm not necessarily involved in that portfolio, but I'm happy to assist with setting up a meeting just so that we can begin that conversation.
Yeah, I think we have to have a process like we had before. It was working well. However, now it's like the recording. I don't know if Dan's crazy about recording. I've never really asked him, but I know he's been encouraged to do it. So if we could have some way of reporting and done properly, because there was a site plan that we did, and now Dan's gone, right? So I don't have the notes in front of me, but we did a review on the, when I can't remember what it was. What was it, Bonnie? Remember?
Just a second, I'll pull it up.
Oh, we did the library. That was in the main.
94 Dickens Place.
That's it. So we had notes on that were sent back to the subcommittee to review if they're accurate, but we didn't get the completed notes as far as finished product of how to report that went into the city staff. Now,
I have a suggestion.
Yes.
Why don't we put site plan up under Dan's portfolio until we get a coordinator?
Yeah, and the thing too is to see if is that a good process to do, Tatiana? Because I don't know how.
Well, I'm just thinking forward. When Julie was here, that's what we did. Like, which was under her name, right? And then when she just did it.
Yeah, so she did it.
And she also sent a report to the accessibility committee before our meeting so that it was included with our agenda. So everybody got to see it.
That's right. And then of course she wasn't staff as far as infrastructure committee. So she was giving a report to the infrastructure committee through the committee first. So the process is kind of falling apart. And I think
all we have to do is just have Dan send his report to Casey and it's part of our agenda.
Yeah, that makes sense. Is that okay with the committee? Sound good? And we added Roger to the subcommittee too. So interest in kind of taking lead on the subcommittee as far as the committee representative. Is that okay?
Yeah, I can take the lead on being the volunteer point of contact for our committee. And if you move the site plan subcommittee update up in the agenda, so Dan does the infrastructure and then he touches on the site plan subcommittee, because he is currently our only point of contact for that. And he was facilitating it that previous meeting. So then let's just speak about it while he's on the line, and that'll help hopefully keep everybody informed and help move us forward.
Yeah. Now, is Dan willing? Is that part of his job to report back the whole reports? Because it can be quite lengthy if you go through the whole thing. If he's willing, we'd have to see how that fits in his job description. Because it was not someone from infrastructure committee that did it before.
I'm not sure who this question is for, Peter.
Tatiana, kind of looking at her, but I guess you notice where I'm looking. Tatiana, do you have anything to say?
Through the chair, unfortunately, again, because I'm not necessarily involved, I'm not sure what's been communicated, but I can definitely bring this back to staff and then perhaps loop in Roger as a point person, and we can kind of figure out the plan moving forward for site plan follow-up.
That's exactly what I'm looking for. Great. Thank you. So we don't really, I don't know if anybody had details on 94 Dickens. We'll just have to, Bonnie, do you remember the details or anything you want to share? Can't hear you.
Sorry, I was just pulling it up.
Yeah, because we weren't ready to do that.
So it said not in favor of the accessible parking location.
Yeah.
Too far from the front door, too many obstacles like bike racks, exit a driveway ramp. And then we were wondering if there's elevators in the building. Is the accessible entrance located close to the elevator? And I had emailed and said that was by the parking in the underground parking, because it's going to be 14 vehicles parked underground and one will be accessible. Are all entrance accessible push button? Will a dedicated accessible spot be made available to specific accessible units? Can all accessible parking spaces be in the underground location? Better barrier-free access required for pedestrians to enter the building from Dickens Place? Can the entrance and exit ramps to the underground parking be reversed, which would improve barrier-free access route? Has a common access agreement been entertained with Windmill Gardens? And I had emailed back and said about that we also had discussed about, instead of having cement walls, that they could have those clear walls where you could actually see. And then Roger had sent in about changing the design to have an entrance at the rear of the building, which would eliminate a lot of those parking issues.
Yeah, we had a lot of issues with this building. And it's, for people who don't know, was it a condo or was it apartments? I can't remember. I think it was condo, right? But it was situated.
Apartments that are going to be going to condos. I think it's 34 units.
Right. So it's in a residential area behind or beside the old Rotary complex area. And it's situated in a way that would make parking for anyone, I think, very difficult. We had a lot of discussion over the design, and I don't know, it was, how far are we in the process? One of the problems of the process was that, is it too far along? Because it really should be done in the architectural stage along the process, and it wasn't. So they designed things that may have already been too far along to make changes that are necessary, because personally, I think it was an afterthought and there are a lot of problems with it. So that's why we need somehow a better system so we can catch this before it. Bonnie?
Well, it's just at the site plan review, which is normally where we're at. And so they'll have to, And I'm not sure, I know Julie was working on getting it implemented that when we send our recommendations in, that staff gets back to us and lets us know what is going to be changed, because that was, we never really knew what they accepted or didn't accept, or if they're going to make changes. But this was going to be 4 high and I believe 34 units. And my understanding was the only thing that they're going to need to come to council for is to sever the land. And I'm not even sure if they have to come to council for that, because they're just buying part of the land from Windmill Gardens, right? But there'll be no open house like there is for Ontario Street or anything, because it's already zoned. Because all that's in that neighborhood, I took a drive back there, it's just semis and townhouses.
Yeah, it concerns me because we do the outside. We're not allowed to do the inside. And if it's that bad on the outside, what is it going to be like on the inside? It's just another building going up without accessibility in the units, because this is a constant problem. And I really think there needs to be a change of mindset on what's approved. I know we can't do that under the ODA, but unfortunately that's an oversight of the ODA. And I don't like the idea that we can just eliminate it from our concerns. And in the past, when it wasn't under municipal government, there was more freedom to do the inside, and now they were restricted, not allowed to be doing it through the process. And that's been a bugaboo for me for a while. Anyways, I don't know how we change that. And other than promoting, which we're going to get into the next part soon with Tatiana, the manual, that might be the only way we can do it. I don't know how others feel about this, but that particular subcommittee meeting was very frustrating to see such a building built that way in the 2020s. Okay, any other comments on that one? All right. So anything from accessibility issues from council, Bonnie, in particular?
No, just that the transit shelter and well, Ontario Street, the last plan that's come back is going to be what they call stacked townhouses. So there's steps leading into it. So it comes to council. I'm guessing it's going to come back on the 8th, but I'm not sure when it comes back. But I raised it as concerns. And I would assume that we'll still see that site plan. Remember about 3 or 4 years ago, or maybe it was 2 years, maybe 3 years, I don't know. We saw site plans for it, and it was townhouses. And one of our issues was all the steps.
Yeah.
And then they didn't come back for a long time. Then they came back with the 4-story. Now they've come back with a 3.5 story. Half of the bottom floor is half in the ground. So I asked about, well, when you come in, then are you going downstairs for part of it and then upstairs for the other part? Like, will it be accessible tall? And they really didn't have the answers at the meeting. So they said that'll be addressed during the site plan. So we should be seeing that come.
I always feel a site plan is, oh, let's approve it and stamp it and we're done. There might be minor changes we can do, and it just doesn't seem to be the understanding that those changes need to be made during the planning process, the drawing process. Anyway. Okay, everybody good with that? So it kind of flows into the previous minutes regarding the manual. And Tatiana, you want to take a lead on that, or?
Through the chair, yes, thank you so much. So I circulated the draft media release. I did receive a quote from Roger, which we are going to include. So for next steps, my intent is to issue the media release. I will note planning on the actual sessions has been a little bit slow just due to different priorities in my office, and increased workload related to meetings, as well as we've been very focused on budget because that process was pushed back a month. So we may not see actual sessions until in the new year, and again, subject to staff availability, because I want to make sure whatever session we put out it's a great session with quality information and we're meeting the needs of the developers. So to then kind of circle it back to next steps, I want to issue the media release, and then I want to reach out to SABA initially and get some feedback on some questions they may have. And then that way that can help staff kind of develop the session, and then we'll loop into the Accessibility Advisory Committee because I would like this group to be a part of those sessions as well and kind of assist us with messaging and responding to some of the questions that we may receive. So that's where we're at today, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Yeah, I would really love to be involved in that planning process with the staff because I've done that before in the past, and that's kind of what I like doing too. So I think I agree with you 100% that it should be done well rather than quickly. So, and it would fit very much into the site plan reviews, even though we have to get the education to the professionals. And we have to do it in a professional manner. And also the reason it's slowed down because of health issues for people on the committee itself hasn't been good. As you can see, both Diane and Judy are not here, and it's health reasons. So we might need more healthy bodies and participation from the main committee to partake. So any questions? Yeah, Lori.
Tatiana, I was just wondering, and I don't know the process that developers go through to want to build with the city, but is there a time in that process where the developer could be given that document or kind of introduced to the document when they want to develop something, so that in case they've missed the session on it, or in case just to kind of reintroduce it? I know from my background that when you present people with information, if they're not in the right mindset to take in that information, they may not necessarily connect with something in the future. So I don't know if there's going to be a time or place where when developers come to the city to start some project, if they have access, will be introduced to that document or given that document again.
So through the chair, great question. So it's my goal basically to identify the various processes throughout the city where we could introduce the manual. So I think we could potentially first introduce it when someone is applying for a zoning amendment application. That's a pretty early start in the process because they would do the zoning amendment, then later on they would do site plan, but I think that might be a first good introduction. I definitely would like to see it handed out when we're seeing interest in developing a site plan application. And then I want to take it over to building. So our building department oversees building permits. And I think at that point, it would be a really good opportunity to provide it out there then as well. And then I would like to kind of build in throughout the year, just again, trying to do reminders. So during, National Accessibility Week, talking about the manual, sending it out to SABA and letting them know where they can get copies, who they can ask, get copies from, letting them know about the process. So again, that's kind of another part of the education sessions. My hope is they'll be electronics, then we can potentially record them. And then again, it just continues to be a resource. But that will be part of the planning discussions as we bring in more staff and then the committee to identify where can we give out this information at every opportunity.
Good question. I have a question. Is there, I know staff is restricted to they can't really make changes on the inside as much as needs to be done. So we're looking at accessible housing. We have a housing subcommittee. How do we get them to be able to access the information on indoor? Because the manual is focused a lot on indoors, and that's what they need to do. But how do we get them to refer to someone, whether it's on the committee, to be able to consult with us in order that the inside is done, since staff can't do that? The volunteers can do that. But it needs to be done, because if you build an outdoor according to the manual, but if they ignore the indoor because, well, the city isn't going to worry about it, we don't have to follow that. but then we have an accessible inside. Is there any way that we can do something that we can maybe have a website or have a video or explaining the seminar on a regular basis and somehow be able to distribute it to people such as architects and developers?
Through the chair again, another really great question. So my first initial comment is always lobby for change. If we want to see drastic change related to accessibility, we should be lobbying the different levels of government so that they're making legislative change. That way everyone's required to follow these standards. With respect to the manual, you are correct. Private developers are not required to follow them. But I think there is an opportunity to develop some quick tip sheets or fact sheets. Maybe if we're seeing a specific question coming up about something related to accessibility indoors, maybe we develop a quick little handout on that. And that way we can put it on the accessibility website, and then we can continue to divert, SABA architects, developers to the website for that information. And then in that as well, we can say, please reach out to the Accessibility Advisory Committee if you have questions. Please reach out to staff. We're happy to direct. So there's ways that we can encourage the manual use. We can't require it. But again, I'm hoping if we can do these education and information sessions well and get buy-in, we might see it go further along and become more useful going forward.
Good. That's a great answer. Anybody else have any questions? I think this is a really huge project for us. I think this is one that could be very successful and change the way Stratford is designing housing, because right now it's not very good. All right, no other comments? So what's the next step, Tatiana? I know you've been the health of a couple of members has made slower progress on that area as far as the committee goes. And so do you need extra help from the committee, and what's the next step?
So through the chair, the next step would be to finalize the media release and send it out. Then I'd like to reach out to SABA and get some initial input from them on what kind of questions they have, because I do know some of the members have been reviewing the manual, and I believe staff have already received a few questions. So I'd really like to compile that and start developing answers. Then the next steps would be to start really planning these sessions with staff and council. I will apologize, it may take a bit of time to see this part of the project complete, but basically what I'll do, if the group is comfortable, I'll just keep reaching out with any assistance I need or any questions I have, and then whoever's available, I appreciate any assistance that you can give.
Well, I know this is a project that I'm particularly interested, so you can count me in whenever you need me. All right. So anyways, email Tatiana if you would like to be involved and help her out. She needs help. She's a busy person. Very busy person. You do it. All right. Anything else? I don't know. Judy and Diane are both ill, so we can't talk. I know Diane probably would like me to say that she has an article, and it has to do with housing, because she's in a home, she gets outreach, and we know before she's had some articles, and pretty serious matter. And I was hoping she'd be here to express it, because I think it's important. So I might forward a copy of an article she wrote, if that's because she wants me to forward it to people. I think it'll be an eye-opener to some of the abuses that go on as a result of the pandemic, which leads to Lori's discussion, as well as to housing. And it's a good article. So Lori, you want to take it from there on the COVID?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm just wondering if people have experienced accessibility issues in terms of because of the COVID, because of COVID and lockdown and stuff. I know I was helping a friend with an issue. It had to do with hydro, and so it was connecting through the city and Pestle City Hydro. And I have to say, it wasn't an easy process. And I'm thinking more about people with maybe mild intellectual disability or developmental disabilities, and how they're able to navigate all the information. I know that the city's very good to be able to talk to people in person, which I think is very, very helpful. But I just thought maybe a discussion on it. If nobody else is feeling this way, that's fine. I haven't read Diane's article, so that would be interesting to read. But I do know that was looking at the website because I was sort of trying to navigate that to see, because I have tried before, but I see it's a new website now, Tatiana, and I'm not sure when that started, but even in previous months, I was looking for recordings of these meetings, and I wasn't able to access that information anywhere. I do now see on that events calendar, it posts the agenda, it posts a link for this meeting if people wanted to watch it live. When I go to the accessibility page, or when I when I search accessibility within the City of Stratford site, it now actually lists all the, it gives you all the minutes from our past meetings, which I think is helpful. I couldn't find that before. So I think the new site is helpful. But again, if your ability to read, if that's a difficulty for you, sometimes I wonder, are some people not able to access the information they need? And part of me wonders if people kind of just give up instead of trying to pursue. Anyways, that was just my thoughts about it. I don't know if anybody else has any thoughts about it, and I'm not sure what the next step is. I guess one thing I was looking at was the library. And to me, I'm so impressed with the library these last few years. I think that they've really, the philosophy seems to have changed around the library. It's much more accessible and a very open place. So, I mean, so I looked up accessibility. There was a link right to the accessibility page for the City of Stratford, which I think was great. But almost like, I wonder if there could be a person there who might have some expertise in the area of accessibility with the city, who could kind of be a resource person, if that, maybe could help people who might need a little bit more help, that don't necessarily have a worker or, friends who are able to support. That's about it.
As far as your comment on electricity, what do you mean they're lacking electricity, as far as, or there was issues with electricity?
No, it was just bill payments. So.
Oh, okay. All right. Does anybody want to comment?
Are you talking about making things available in plain language, or sort of rationalizing the like where the information is on say a website or both?
Well, I think with the new website, I think things might be easier to access. Mind you, I did there on the first page, it says COVID-19. So I clicked on there, but that's not linked to anything anymore. So, and then Bonnie, I was looking for the button you talked about where you had mentioned something about report a problem. Yeah, I didn't see that I don't see that on the website. I'm not sure where you saw that.
Click on the home page. Right on the home page, it's in black. It says report an issue.
Yeah.
It's right on the right-hand side there. And
I see. Okay.
Above it, it says I'd like to, but that's just an extra step you have to do. So if you just click on report an issue, just go in there, type everything in, send it to them. You can add pictures and do whatever. It's great.
Okay. Yeah, I've seen it. It works. It does work. Tatiana, did you want to say something?
Through the chair, yes. So I can advise that with respect to the videos, so when you go to the council calendar page where we list the Accessibility Advisory Committee meetings, you actually click the word Accessibility Advisory Committee. It opens up to a new page, and that's where you can find the agenda, the minutes, and then a link to watch the video. We also post the video on YouTube. But what we can do is add some of this information onto the accessibility page. So that way, at least it's all in one area. Mike Bites, our corporate communications lead, did an amazing video on how you can kind of look through the council calendar page and where you can find different features. So we can add that in. And then I'm wondering if maybe we just highlight again on the accessibility page, there is a feedback communication portion. We could maybe enhance that. So that way, if there is a member of the public with a disability who requires additional services or has questions, then they can use that as a tool to start the conversation, at least with the city. Again, I always recommend encouraging people to reach out to us at the city. We are more than happy to assist, and we will help them navigate to either the persons they need to speak to, the services they need, or additional resources that we're able to kind of point them to. But we can kind of relook at the accessibility webpage and see where we can enhance it.
Right, good.
Yeah.
I think sometimes people aren't aware that the city is willing to offer as much help as they are. And I think that's important that we get that out, that information, how if you have an intellectual disability or a physical disability, I think we're very helpful, I hope. I know I've intervened in a COVID dispute between a business and a person in a wheelchair, and it was resolved very easily, but they just couldn't resolve it on their own. I know Tatiana's done a lot of work in this area. Casey takes calls. So, and Bonnie, I know, is active. So getting it out. I know I watch YouTube occasionally, and all of a sudden I saw my face on there because I was on this. That's pretty scary, I tell you, looking at that. But I know it comes up on YouTube with, I think, whether I subscribe to it or not, I don't know, just it comes up. And so it is there. So they can watch the meetings on YouTube without even looking for it. I was not looking for it. And but it can be found if they subscribe on YouTube channel. Our meetings do come up, which is helpful, so that hopefully they can get involved and find an easy way to connect to us, either through the city site or YouTube.
And you know, I mean, don't get me wrong. When I was contacting people, they were great. They were very, very helpful. But I'm just saying that it took some perseverance, and I mean, I'm not intimidated by the system, but I would think some people might be. And I guess that's the piece I'm wondering about. You know, when you have to persevere with stuff, sometimes people will give up, and it's just something that I kind of wanted to bring up. But
yeah, no, that's a very good point. Bonnie?
Mike has done up a couple videos on how to, like sort of how to do the municipal thing. He did it on, and then he posted it on Facebook, and it was posted on the city website. Now, I'm not sure, I'd have to go back and look and see if it's still on the front page. But like what Tatiana was saying about going to the council calendar, that's on the front web page too in the block. You can just click council calendar, and then you can look it up by the committee, or if you know the date, you can just go to the date, click on it, go on, and like she said, you can just click on it and watch the meeting from there. And like sometimes they're not posted right away, like today's might not be posted for a couple of days, it depends, right? But you can still go on and YouTube it. So I'll check and see if I can see if he's got that video there, because I know he did one on report an issue, and he has it on the Facebook page, and people will forever ask me about it. So somehow, I don't know how he did it. He's got it clicked so it's at the top now. So whenever you click on the City of Stratford's Facebook page, it's right at the top, so people can see it right away. So maybe we could do that with how to too. That might be another one. Although we don't want to get too much at the top, or you won't have people scrolling down it. But still, there was.
Yeah, I mean, I don't use Facebook, so
Yes.
There's probably lots of stuff that I'm not seeing. But if that even could go on the website somehow, I think that would be helpful.
Tatiana,
I'm sure it is.
Tatiana's question for you. So we have the annual Accessibility Award December 3rd. December 3rd is also the World International Day of Disability. Could we do something that would provide information that would help with this situation of getting what the city offers at the same day, an article or some media outlet to say, hey, we're on YouTube, you can look at here, you can call the city, we'll direct to someone with experience on a committee in that particular area, that we might be able to help them more as a committee. Would it contradict what our mandate is if we assist people? I used to work for an organization that did that. Unfortunately, those organizations were defunded by the Ontario government years ago and changed into committees like this. So we are restricted on what we can do now, which that particular government made themselves look good by doing this. However, it tied our hands on advocating or assistance to people who really need the assistance on cross disability. So that's a big loaded question. I don't know if we can answer that, but if we can find some way to help these people, because we have our meetings here, and then we know there's people out. I know I get the calls, but not necessarily because I'm on the committee, just because they know me. I know there's people out there that need help that I can give them a quick answer and help them out. But yet at the same time, with the committee itself, we're restricted. So, but it'd be nice if we had some media release, what the city offers, how they get in touch with someone that can refer someone who has a similar experience or disability.
Yeah, so through the chair, we can definitely put an additional communication out around the time of the Accessibility Award. I'm just wondering if there's someone on this group, maybe Lori, you can just kind of, in a point form, just kind of cover the information you think would be helpful in this news release. And then that way I can kind of work with staff and then you as well. And we can kind of craft an actual release to go out in December.
Sure. One thing I wanted, like, so for example, on the City of Stratford website, people are talking about YouTube. Does the City of Stratford have a YouTube channel?
Through the chair, yes.
Okay, so at the bottom of the page of the City of Stratford, it's got Twitter and Facebook link and LinkedIn link, but it doesn't have a YouTube icon. Should there be one there, do you think? I'm just saying, if
not 100% sure how the links work, but I can definitely raise it with our corporate communications lead, who tends to know more of linking different platforms than me. But we can definitely raise it. So if you can like outline all of these, then we can see what's feasible.
Okay, I'm just thinking if because Bonnie was saying how there's some how-to videos, maybe that would be a nice way for people to access that. So, okay.
And you definitely can watch this meeting right now. This meeting will be posted on YouTube, and whether you knew it before, you were on YouTube. So just beware. Comb your hair like I didn't do today before you get on here. It's pretty creepy looking at yourself. Anyways, does that help? I think there's, as far as COVID with people with disabilities, there's obviously a vaccination issue, and some people are getting attendant care services and outreach, but people are coming in unvaccinated and when a person is ill. And there are a lot of issues out there that are not solvable very easily because of restrictions on what government does what. And it's terrible, but we can't discuss it. In private, you want to know, call me. I'll tell you. In a nice way. Okay. Are we good with that, Glory? Good?
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you. Thanks for the time.
Yeah, sure. Anybody else have questions on that? Okay, moving on to the annual Accessibility Award. Tatiana, you taking that one or not? Should we assign?
No, not me at this time.
It used to be Jessica doing this all the time, so I believe it's coming up very quickly. It's hard to believe it's going to be December next month. Bonnie, you've done stuff on this in the past. Have we assigned anybody? I thought we did.
Well, I thought Judy and Diane were doing it, but I'm not sure they did it last year.
You know, that's I really am concerned. I know I talked to them personally in the last week, and I think we need somebody. Diane's not here, and she didn't call in, which concerns me. So I really
having a really rough day.
And yeah, and I know Judy is too, because she called me just before the meeting. So I know they have ongoing health problems, concerns right now. So we probably need somebody to take a lead on this. Do I have a volunteer? Roger? You taking it?
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. What a
If
guy.
all we need to do is organize the information from the previous years and then send it out, make sure that we get submissions for this award, which we're planning to award in a month. And then to the committee, then if everybody can think of places where you've had good accessible experiences, so that we can have some nominations if they don't come in from the community, which could be a problem.
So
with short notice.
Can we in the paper on your city site something on there? When's the next time it comes out?
Well, December 13th, when we'll probably do the presentation at council, because that's our first council meeting in December.
As far as the ad that goes in the beacon.
Oh, well, it should go up pretty soon, I would think.
Yeah, so
we have to give them a couple of weeks to get them in, and then we have to go out and look at the places.
Yeah, but I'm saying, when does it go? When does the ad go in the paper? When does it need to have a prepared statement requesting submissions for anyone who wants to nominate a business?
Well, I would say within the next week.
So yeah, but when does it come out? It comes out every Tuesday or every
Thursday and Saturday, Peter.
Okay, and it's every week.
Yeah.
Okay, so if we can, Roger, can you get something written up in the paper?
Well, Casey already has it. Like, all Roger really has to do is change the dates on it, and then it has to go to Tatiana to get approved, and then they just send it to the media.
Yeah, Jessica wrote up a really good template for us to use. So I've used that in the past. So do you have a copy there? Oh, Tatiana, do you have
Through the chair, just wondering, perhaps Casey and I can work with Roger. We can get the draft ad and the documents previously provided. Maybe we'll look to put it in the marketplace in Town Crier starting next week. So that would be November 11th / that might be earlier because Remembrance Day, and then November 13th. Roger, would that work for you? If we can spend the next few days kind of finalizing all the forms and whatnot, and we can get it on the website, put in the Town Crier and circulate it out.
Yeah.
Thank you, Raj. Thank you, Tatiana. Thank you, Casey. That'd be great. We got to get that going. We actually usually start earlier, but due to the health concerns, we haven't gotten this going.
Through the chair, sorry to interrupt. Is there, because we are starting late, would the committee be willing to award it at a later time? Like, we could still do a media release for December 3rd, but you could technically award it at a later date if you wanted to give yourself some extra time.
I would say that'd be fine because, well, I know Bonnie's saying no, but if we get the press release in the paper and then we can have a second date, which would be 2 our version instead of just 1.
Well, I'm concerned because in December we have council on the 13th and then the 20th, right? And actual day is the 3rd. But you really couldn't do it in November because that's the 22nd we'll be meeting. I think we have enough time. If it fits in if it's going in on the 13th, and then people say they have to have it back to us by the 26th, that still gives us 2 weeks to go out and look at the place, to have it at the December 13th meeting. Just my opinion.
Roger, what do you think?
I agree. I think we should carry ahead with the December date. Just like these are sort of scripted items that our committee takes care of, and if we could kind of just get into the routine of doing them, then we can make sure that we're never pressed for time. And I don't feel we're pressed for time right now because we do have the previous 8 or 10 years or however long it's already been. Like we're not reinventing anything. We're just implementing it for this year.
The problem I find is responses are slow.
Which is why I asked the committee to think of places to nominate.
Yeah,
because we are capable of, however many people are here, of thinking of good places to initiate the award to have nominations.
Okay, sounds good. And that includes services too. It just doesn't have to be physical access. It could be services. Someone does something special. So everybody's responsibility is to look. Good. I just didn't want to put pressure on you, Roger. That's all. But if you're willing, that's great. Yep.
So as far as getting the previous documents, Casey, would I receive that from you?
Yes, Tatiana and I will go through last year's stuff and I'll see everything. So 2 years ago, Jessica sent me all of her stuff and I forwarded it to Judy and Diane. So I'll look back on that stuff and I'll see if I can find Jessica's package and send it to you then.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Just make sure it's the latest version where we added, I think it was individuals, and we made that change about 2 years ago.
Yeah. Okay. We good on that? Any other questions on that? All right. We're flowing quickly. New business. Nobody's ever, I don't think we had any new business as far as I know, unless somebody has something. Roger.
My new business, it was sort of related to the manual, but Tatiana, I would like to know how your presentation went. I logged on to try to watch it, but I didn't realize you had to register for it. So maybe you could just fill me in on what happened.
Yeah, through the chair, I think it went well. It was a fascinating conversation because they also had an architect on the panel who was working with some municipalities on some heritage-related accessibility projects. Definitely raised a lot of questions or I guess gaps. So as this committee will know, right now, even in Stratford, our Heritage Stratford Committee looks at certain projects and the Accessibility Advisory Committee looks at certain projects, and there isn't always one lens put on projects or services from the city. But one thing we sort of talked about was creating a well-being lens and applying that through all city services and programs that we offer. So that could be accessibility, heritage, climate, equity, diversity, inclusion. It's kind of like a new way that municipalities are moving towards for providing services and programs. So that was something we sort of touched on, was trying to build that in corporate wide. So that way, anytime the city does anything, we're always looking at a well-being lens. And I did note it's extremely slow work. It will take a lot of time to kind of add that in, and it's going to take a lot of direction from council and our corporate leadership team. But that was some of the high level things that I kind of took away from. And I believe they recorded it, and I will see if I can get the recording and I can share it with the group so you could look at all the different presentations.
Great. I tried to get on as well, and I saw the cost and went, oh. So was it open to consumers at all? Or was this limited?
I believe they opened it up to anyone. I know they were promoting it pretty far and wide. I'm not sure exactly who all the attendees were. And I know they did have, unfortunately, they had some technical difficulties, especially because I was in one of the breakout rooms. So you had two options. And I know some people ended up going into the wrong room accidentally. but I believe it was open.
So was there many consumers? Do you know? Because I as Roger knows, I also tried to go on, and the cost was prohibitive to people that, unlimited income, and we probably would have a pretty good input. Would they allow for consumer input while they were discussing these things, or is it just professionals?
So through the chair, I'm not exactly sure who was all in attendance. They did have an open Q&A function, so anyone could have submitted comments throughout the session. It didn't require them to state who they were, although sometimes people would offer it up. I think one was an architect, one was a city planner, I believe. But I could definitely reach out to the group and see if they have any information on the attendees or how they promoted it.
Okay, what was your topic?
So mine was called Getting to Yes, and it was basically talking about applying an accessibility lens to heritage projects, because currently that's not really done from a municipal standpoint. You tend to have heritage advisory committees looking at heritage projects, and then you have accessibility advisory committees looking at site plans. So it was encouraging the application of an accessibility lens on these types of projects.
Excellent, very good. Lori?
No, I was just wondering. So I remember seeing that, and you could register for it, but then you sent out an email, Tatiana, about something, and I don't know if it was for that or if it was something else, and there was a cost to it. So were those two separate things? Do you know?
Through the chair, I'm going to be honest and say a lot of the time I forget what emails I send out. I know for sure I sent one out about the conference I was participating in. There was a European one that they sent out. I don't know. I got that the same day it was, and I don't know if I sent that to this group. Okay. So it might have been. I apologize.
I think you.
No, that's okay. That might have been the confusion. I'm not sure. So
you did. I think you sent the right one. So because it was the right one. So feel okay. Yeah, that was good. I mean, that heritage one is a big issue that comes up quite often. So I'm so glad you did that. I would love to see it. So if you get it online, you can let us know. I'd appreciate that. I'd love to see it. Okay. Any other comments on that or new business? Wow. We're done 20 minutes early? No. Okay. So the plan is going ahead, get nominations ASAP to Roger. And that would be great. Okay. Any other comments? Yeah, Roger.
Just back about that award. So we will look to vote at the next meeting, or would we do it over email, Casey?
We'll have to meet to pass the motion. So that'll have to be at our December 7th meeting is the next time we meet.
Cool.
Can you send the nominations whatever date you feel that you can get them done? If we have enough, that you can send it as soon as possible to the committee so we can look at it. And I know going as a group always caused problems because of transportation or schedules. I don't know how you feel you want to do that, Roger. What do you think?
We could look at previous years. I remember we did it after a meeting. That doesn't really apply this time because we would be looking to vote at the meeting, or we could delay the vote to do it over email, and we could tour the places first, see what nominations come in, and then tour the places that first week of December, or the week of the 6th, or the week before rather.
Do you think it might require an extra meeting in between to discuss it?
No, I think we can just do it over email.
Through the chair, votes cannot be taken over email. If it's a vote advisory committee, it must be done in person in a formal meeting. So you may want to consider a special meeting or designating a subcommittee to shortlist the candidates' applications, touring those, and then having a meeting to officially pass a motion.
Yes. Yeah, I would agree.
So for clarification, Peter, I thought you were talking about to talk about the nominations, so we can talk about the nominations and then we can have the vote on the 7th.
Yeah, I was. Having said that, how would you talk about the nominations? We have to still get together, right?
We're together right now. It's easy to get together. But yes, it's going to work out. Just think of your nominations. And we can always go back to the well. There's previous nominations that we did not award because we had good ones. So we'll make it work.
All right. Good. It's your baby. So it's not my favorite part of doing it for myself. So I'm glad you took it on. All right. Casey, did you want to say something, or it was?
No, but I think that when we send out the ad, it has the advisory committee email. So they'll come to me and I can just fire them back out. The ones that aren't emailed amongst yourselves for nominations, any of those ones, I'll just forward them as soon as I get them.
Okay.
So
all right.
should we send them all to Casey so she can send them as one letter to Roger instead of them getting a whole bunch? Is that how you do it, Casey? So we should send them to you. Then you'll compile a list and send them to Roger?
Yeah, I've never gotten a list from committee members. They've always just been outside nominations that have come in through the website. So either way you want to do it, you can just send them to me and I can compile them for Roger, and I'll compile the ones that come in off the website.
How do you feel, Roger?
I'm not concerned. We'll find out about the nominations and then we'll go from there.
Okay. You're going to shortlist it too, or? I guess that was my concern about shortlisting it, getting the one so you don't have to go through everyone in the next meeting.
Yes.
Okay. And you don't want anybody else to help you? Are you okay with that?
I want you guys to encourage people to be nominated.
Probably
and then
not.
Once we have the nominations, sorry, go ahead, Peter.
I said we're probably not worried that we're going to get too many.
Yeah, and then we can determine who the most worthy candidates are, and then go from there. But
okay, everybody good with that? Good, thanks, Roger. That's noble of you. I don't know. All right, so next meeting is December 7th. And anybody want to adjournment? Make a motion to adjourn. I'm tired. Yes, Bonnie. Seconder is Lori. All in favor? Okay, adjourned. Thank you very much, everybody.